Hello.
Welcome to Immaculate Perceptions. I'm Joe Rigo. That's MJ Hurley. We're on Game On Wisconsin. And tonight we're talking more Packers and maybe some, it is a Packers show, but we talk about other football too. So we probably get into some of that a little bit. So,
Yeah.
excuse my, I don't say off the rip, excuse my eyes. I'm not high. I didn't eat a gummy. I didn't smoke anything. It's been a long day, a long 2 days. We fired surprisingly, out here in Vegas, they fired a UNLV head football coach 9 o'clock yesterday morning, and I've been chasing the story for 2 days. I mean, not chasing. I've been having to work. MJ, you know how it is when you're trying to go reach out to it's crazy. So I am exhausted, but man, I'm gonna talk about Sunday night. Like, I know you're a guy. I know you're a love guy. I mean, I feel the love too. You know what I'm saying? I have the Air Jordan with HEIR that I think Air is the heir apparent. But, Aaron Rodgers goes out with the oblique or the rib injury. Jordan Love comes in and starts diming them up to 9 of 12 for 163 yards and a touchdown. And threw two balls, the back shoulder fade to Aaron Jones on the last drive that he dropped. And it's a cover two buster because he threw it in that window. And then in the end zone, the drive before, which I believe was dropped by Lazard, I want to say.
Yes.
Two throws that were on the money. MJ, I'm not saying give him the starting reins right now, like you probably are about to say. But what I am saying is, if you're a Packer fan, that gives you a little eyebrow raise and say, okay, we may have something with this guy, something that some of us already believe.
So here's the thing, Joe. I was driving. We were just talking about my drive to and from Texas. I was driving home from Texas on Sunday night, so I didn't get to watch all of the game. I was driving myself for the first half. I was able to watch a little bit of the second half while Paige drove. But so I was actively paying attention when Love came in. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit excited. Obviously, I don't wish injury upon Aaron Rodgers. That you never want to see that be how a guy loses his job. However, that really is pretty often how starting quarterbacks in the NFL lose their job. We had Jameis Winston hollering. Exactly. We had Jameis Winston hollering a couple weeks ago that you don't lose your job because of injury. And I'm like, well, actually, you kind of do a lot of the time. If you're winning, exactly. Talk to Carson Wentz, talk to Drew Bledsoe, talk to Jameis Winston, talk to even Brett Favre, who everybody was talking about the other night, just 15 years ago, had a very similar situation. And it wasn't that Aaron Rodgers in that Dallas game was outstanding.
Yes, he was. He led them back to like damn near win. Like he went in there and slicing up, and they both were teams that I think that game they both were like 1-2 in the NFC.
Right, but what I'm saying is he didn't do anything in that game that made the Packers change their quarterback for the rest of the season. I don't think Jordan Love will change what the Packers are going to do at quarterback for the rest of the season. However, I did find it very interesting, and people tweeted about it, but they didn't really dig into it. So I want to hear what you thought about this quote, Joe. As long as we're mathematically alive, I would like to be out there. And then Rodgers continued to say, after that, we can have some discussions about what the best course of action might be. So,
my reaction to that is he sees it, he knows it, and I think that he also understands that with that receiving room and the cap situation the way it is, he's not going to get any big boy receivers. It's going to be the young pups and maybe Randall Cobb next year, maybe Lazard, which I really doubt. And I could see him saying, okay, you know what, maybe I've said it for months, and I'm not going to I don't want to go down the Aaron Rodgers rabbit hole. Like it's like mentioning Derek Carr, Raider fans, or insert Shohei Ohtani or Aaron Judge, who's a real MVP, Aaron Judge, but that's not a point.
Shohei, it's okay.
Jacob, you're gonna have to pipe in on that one. But I said this is probably gonna be. I thought this is gonna be Aaron Rodgers last year. That's just me.
Yeah.
I've said that, and I've said that Jordan Love is that guy, and he showed me enough in terms of what I've seen, and I'm not talking about in preseason looking at, he was 10 of 11 for 240 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, and no, like there's throws that you make, and there's reads that you make, and things that shows me like, okay, there's something here. So when I say that, I think Rodgers may know the writing's on the wall, and we'll see what happens. I mean, this is a tough year for him. Injury, losing, I think he may be looking back like saying, damn, I really kind of foobarred that up.
So, Joe, a lot of people were taking that quote, the little discourse I saw. People on Twitter, and again, I always like to preface this saying Twitter is a fabled mistress, that there's not, Twitter is not the entire representation of what the whole country or what Green Bay thinks. Anyway.
Well, the Emperor thinks so, the Emperor of Packer Nation. But anyway, go ahead.
Correct. The little discourse I saw on Twitter about that quote, people said, oh my gosh, she's going to retire. I didn't take it that way, and here's why. Aaron Rodgers can still be a starting quarterback in the NFL. He is still a very talented thrower of the football, right? Whether or not the marriage in Green Bay is going to last, I believe that both of us think that it will not last past this season. The reason I don't think he's going to go away and retire is because there are plenty of teams, Joe, that could use an Aaron Rodgers. And I understand people are harping on the $59 million cap hit, but even if the Packers split that with another team, let's just, Joe, off the top of my head, I just pulled up the standings on ESPN, right?
See, I'm not pulling up anything. That's not off the top of your head. That's cheating because you're looking at a computer.
Yes, it is. A few teams reading off of ESPN standings.
Should read off Game On Wisconsin's
standings. The Patriots could both use a quarterback, right?
Not Colts, the Patriots.
The Texans could use a quarterback. Even the Titans could use a quarterback upgrade, right? Aaron Rodgers is an upgrade over Ryan Tannehill. Even out west, your Raiders.
My Raiders. I just cover them. A little different.
Your area Las Vegas Raiders. And then the Commandos. Everybody in the NFC South if Brady retires. The Seattle Seahawks. Like, there are plenty of teams, Joe, that could use a quarterback upgrade. Now, there's some of those, and I saw your reaction with the Seahawks. No, they're probably not going to, after the success they've had with Geno, they're probably not going to go do something crazy.
They are. They're going to pay Geno.
Well, yeah.
That's, Hey, look, I'm going to tell you a team that no one's talking about. The Rams. Matthew Stafford, with back-to-back concussions, wife is pushing hard for him to really think about making this his final year. No one's really talking about that. The interesting one to me, there's a couple. The Raiders is one because there's a 3-day window after the Super Bowl where they have to make a decision on Derek Carr on whether or not to pay him the $40 million salary that he is owed from the extension he signed. Well, from everything that I've gathered, right now they're leaning on not doing that, and they would probably try to move him, which would create a domino effect because you have Indianapolis, you have the Commanders, the Texans, they have the number 1 pick. That could be Bryce, that could be CJ. I mean, realistically. So, I mean, again, I would take a younger guy in that case because that is the golden ticket, a quarterback on a 5-year rookie deal, which allows you to build around that team and build around them. So, I look at that, the Jets possibly, and how poetic would it be if it was the Jets? I mean, Brett Favre gets traded to the Jets. I mean, Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are boys, according to what the TV was saying. I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's a friendship there. That could be something where, he's there for a year or two, grooms them, and then Zach Wilson does what he does. I don't know, starts or goes somewhere else, whatever. But there's going to be some some teams that are going to be active in the quarterback market 100%. But I'm not sneezing at that cap hit. I mean, it's 59 million or 50
$59 million guaranteed. That's not
God,
the cap hit. That's just the guaranteed money. The cap hit is higher than that.
Yeah, there's like I trust NFL capologists because they know way more than anybody else on what they're doing. It's not as cut and dry as what we may think or see. There's got to be a way. There has to be a way. Maybe how the contract is worded. Maybe there's a loophole or something. I don't know, but that's a lot of money to eat for a season. When unless you're just saying, hey, screw it, we're gonna just lose this year, and if we lose this year, it is what it is. We're just gonna have a high pick and we're gonna have a bunch of cap room the next year.
So, Joe, I will pose this question to you that I put on Twitter today. And I said, let's just think about the idea of if they did trade Aaron Rodgers. Let's say they made the cap work. They were able to get him out of town, get a little bit of a return, get some relief from the money. You're telling me that with the current offensive line the Packers have, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, Lazard, Watson, and Dobbs, because with a little bit more money, you can probably keep Alan Lazard, and then Robert Tonyan and possibly Mercedes Lewis if he sticks around. Probably not if Rodgers is gone. But anyway, even Tonyan and DeGuara. You're telling me that Jordan Love can't lead a top 15 offense with that? You're telling me the Packers wouldn't be happy with that? If they keep everything in place and they're able to do so, it's kind of a similar discussion to what we were talking about a few years ago with Corey Linsley, Aaron Jones, when we were trying to decide who to pay. It's, do you keep one? Do you keep, how do we spread this money around?
Well, I think that in this case, if you're asking me, can he lead an offense? I think he can, but I don't know what it would be. I mean, is Aaron Jones going to be there? That's the big question. Because at this point, I'm keeping Aaron Jones over AJ Dillon. I'm gonna say Corey Dillon. That's how old I am, but I'm gonna keep him over AJ Dillon, and because I think I get more out of him in the offense. I think he can do more. I think he's more versatile. He's he does way more, and he just does things, and it's just something he just has an intangible about him. I'm not saying AJ Dillon doesn't. I know he's in year 3, so you still have him next year. But you're not explosive at the tight end position. There's no explosion there. Your top 2 receivers will be going into year 2 next year. If this is the case, and I say this presuming, I say it's presuming that Randall Cobb is going to be gone.
Right.
And, so I have an issue with, first time quarterback. I mean, maybe in the top 20 range, but 15, top 15. I don't know about that, and it depends what they do with the O-line too. I mean, let's be real. Like, I know I read Twitter often, and I see the cut Bakhtiari and let Jenkins walk. Look, no, you don't do that. You let him be protected, and you develop, and then when it gets to a point, then you let one go. And you don't let Elton Jenkins walk now. He's way more healthy and way more reliable right now than Bakhtiari, which he's getting better week by week. He looks like it. So
Joe, just for context, the Packers right now have the 16th ranked offense in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So you're telling me that with how inconsistent, how really just bad they've been, and this is compared to the normal Packers standards, right, for offense. Most teams would be decently happy with 16th offense in the NFL. They'd be like, oh, okay, we can make improvements, but we're not as bad as half the teams in the NFL. You're telling me that Jordan Love, under the same circumstances, wouldn't be able to produce similarly to Rodgers, 20 touchdowns and 10 picks?
Yes, because Rodgers at this point even still has a better grasp of the offense. It can see certain things in the defense that you get with experience and playing, where Love doesn't have that. So there are certain things still that Aaron Rodgers does better than Jordan Love.
Right.
He may not have. I mean, he's still got arm strength, but he may, but he doesn't have that. Love has got better mobility, but IQ and be able to manipulate a defense. That's still Aaron Rodgers. And that's something that just doesn't go away. I mean, he still makes throws only two or three other guys make in the world playing quarterback at the collegiate or the NFL level can make. That's just the reality of it. So
So at what point do the Packers pull the trigger? Like
when I agree with
what?
Jacob, I agree with what Jacob said. The minute they're mathematically eliminated, let's see what you got with Love. Let's see what you got. And at worst, if you're going to roll with Rodgers again and Love show something, you got your potential to add another first round pick or so.
You think that Love would get traded for a first round pick?
You never know. I mean, you don't know who loves somebody, no pun intended, who doesn't. I mean,
Right.
You could have a team in the middle rounds. If let's say let's say they beat, let's just be real, they're going to beat the Bears this week, and then
Right.
let's say they lose and they're mathematically eliminated. You roll out with Love the rest of the year, and he shows enough to where it's like, okay, we have to make a decision. And if they make the decision to roll with Aaron Rodgers because he has them by the nuts because of that contract, if that's the case, where would Jordan Love fall in this draft? I mean, he has a body of work, some tape against some defenses in the
Right.
NFL. Um, I think he would maybe be the second or third quarterback taken in this draft.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, he would be a first round pick. So yeah, in that logic, yes, he would be worth a first round pick. Um, and I really would like to see Love because Rams, Dolphins, Vikings, Lions is the last 4 games for the Packers. So I think if you give Jordan Love those 4 games, because realistically, after their bye week, they will be eliminated from the playoffs. Even if they win against the Bears, they're not going to be going into week 15 with playoff hopes. I would be shocked. You let Jordan Love take those 4 games and run with it. You get a month of him running the offense, then you can see, okay, what command does he have over the offense? How do the players react to him starting? How does the entire offense flow? You get to go against, a Rams defense that hasn't been great, but has some star players. Dolphins are hot, and then 2 division rivals. I think that's a very good sample size for the Packers to be able to make a decision on whether or not to invest in this guy moving forward.
100%. I would don't disagree with that. And um, I also think that if you look at the team in general, and you kind of seen how some of them reacted to the touchdown pass to Watson, and
Yeah,
there were some guys that are like, okay, like it seems like there's a little pep in there, a little pick me up,
yeah,
and that's warranted, and I think he's got some fans in the locker room, but I mean, and I agree with Jacob with this point. You got to give Aaron Rodgers one more game, as he said in the chat. Um, you do. You give him one more game. You let him get his roses. Um, I think that's important. Um, at the same time, when it is time to feel the love, feel Mr. Love, feel the love machine, I can go all day with these love puns too,
Oh,
by
I
the
know
way.
you can. I'm going to be hearing this for the next 2 years.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be, man, it's all love, baby. But but no, I think that with Love, if he shows something, I think it'd be great for Green Bay to have to make a decision. Honestly, I think um it's gonna be. I want them to make a tough decision, because I'm torn as a fan. I'm talking as a fan now. I always want them to win, but I kind of want them to lose out. I want them to get a top 5 pick in a way. I think,
Yeah.
the only 2 games I think that is like I want to say locks, but maybe the Bears, the Rams, just because of the way the Rams are right now with all the injuries they have. I mean, My brother Kalani can roll out and play receiver for him right now. You know,
Yeah.
so you know, the Bears are just the Bears. Period, point blank, you know, whatever. You know, Rodgers owns them. So uh but the Lions, like I remember somebody, don't know who it is, I can't recall who it was that said the Lions were going to be the second best team in this division. Do you remember who that was? Can you
You.
remind me? Who was it?
You.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You thought I was crazy. Thought I was crazy. Bro, he's building something there, and I like it. Vikings surprised me, but the Lions, they're not going to. The Lions are a better team than Green Bay right now. The Lions are a better team than Green Bay right now.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, let's just be honest about it. Dolphins, they're one of the best teams in the AFC. That's an L.
Yep.
You know, so I mean,
probably at most win 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, 6 wins.
Fucking win 5. Win 5. Be a 5 and pick 5th. No, don't pick 4th or 6th. Last time you pick 5th, you pick the guy that's just average and you overpaid for him. AJ Hawk.
Oh yeah. Sorry, AJ.
No, not sorry. Just what it is. Modern day Brian Noble.
Can I? That's tragic. Because okay, I'm trying to see of all the teams with 4 wins right now, since we're going down this road. Okay, Rams and Bears have fewer wins, and then Broncos and Texans. Right now, Packers are in the mix for that 5th pick. They're not because they have too many tiebreakers over terrible teams, but they could.
Hey, let's say they lose to the Rams and the Bears. They don't have no tiebreakers there. Well, the Rams maybe because the Lions have that pick.
Right. Well, so do the Lions get the tiebreaker or do the Rams?
The Rams, because it's the Rams pick. Yeah, it's still the Rams pick.
Yeah, the Lions just have the rights to it.
This is an interesting question right here. The answer is hell no. Jair Alexander, look, they're playing a lot of match defense, a lot of zone, and he's not playing bad. He's just giving, you know, when you're playing off covers, they're going to catch balls in front of you. You can't,
right.
You know, and a couple like last week, there was one in the second quarter or third quarter, one of the two. Guy came out in the flat. They were in cover 3, but he read it and the guy jumped for the ball and caught it. I want to say, I don't know if it was AJ Green or not, but Jair was right there. If it goes over his head, it's a pick, and he's probably taking it back to the house. So, I mean, is he playing the type of elite ball he's played in the past? No, I don't think it has to do with the contract. I think a lot of it has to do with schematics. I'm not making excuses, but I think a lot of it to do with schematics and scheme, which leads me to ask you, MJ. Oh, it's Devontae Smith. Thank you, Jacob. Luke Fickell's now the head coach at the University of Wisconsin.
Yes.
Okay. Longtime Wisconsin alum, D coordinator, Jim Leonhard can just break that apart because that relationship is over.
Bye-bye.
You think that they reach out to Jim Leonhard and say, come take this job that was supposed to be yours to begin with, but you were a good boy and you stayed home at Wisconsin because they thought that you were going to be the head coach in waiting?
Well, of course they're going to reach out to him. I mean, they're going to talk to him because there was obviously interest before, and with the way the defense is performing, there's interest right now. But here's the issue is whether I don't want to say that the Packers front office and coaching staff don't really have an issue with how the defense is playing, because obviously they do, but I've never seen a team get shellacked defensively like the Packers have been the recipient of, and just not really have any change or accountability or anything. Like Matt LaFleur just said, no, we don't really need to make any coaching or play calling or
you don't do that in season. I agree with him on that. You don't do that in season. Not where you're at right
Why
now.
not?
What's it going to
If
do?
we're going to change our quarterback in season,
You're changing
we
the
can't change our defensive play caller.
No, not right now because you're giving him every opportunity to fail and to basically turn it around. You know what you have at Rodgers. You don't know what you have at Love. You know what you have with Barry. Or was it the defenses played above their head last year? Look, you don't have Devondre Campbell. That D-line has played horrible all year, and that includes Kenny Clark. Look, Rasul Douglas took a shit and stepped back. 2-1 is hurt with a horrible and a bad lower leg injury.
Right.
So and then what's up with Darnell Savage? He ain't a Savage. And Amos is taking a step back, to be honest. So I mean, everybody that you counted on is taking a step back. Now then you ask yourself, is it the defense or
is it the chicken or the egg? Yeah.
So you're gonna roll with you're gonna be the sacrificial lamb at the end of the year. He did it with Mike Penton. If you remember, he waited till after. Oh no, we're good. Same thing with the special teams coach with Mo Drayton. We're good. And then what? Well, he fired him. It's just you don't do that to people because a coaching circle is a very small circle, and you don't want to be known as a guy that runs through your circle.
Well, here's. And I know I'm not in the locker room, but here's the problem. There's just no. I know that the players don't buy the BS. They don't buy the facade. Nobody does. So why are you doing that? It's just what productivity does that bring to you as a coaching staff, as a franchise, to say things publicly? I mean, it's the same issue Aaron Rodgers has had with the Packers for years, that they'll say one thing and do the other. If there was really no issue with the defensive play calling or the defensive coaching staff, then they wouldn't fire Barry in the offseason.
But what's the point of saying it in season? What's the point of like, you know what? Hey, Joe Barry sucks. We're gonna because Johnny Gray, you're gonna call defense now. Joe, you're just going to linebackers coach. We're gonna pay you, and you guys are gonna all that does is that creates.
I'm not saying do that. I'm saying send him out. I'm saying fire him
after a year and a half.
Yes.
No, I'm going through that situation in Las Vegas right now.
The NFL is a results-based business, and the Packers defense is not putting up results. At the end of the day, whether it comes down to injuries, players taking a step, whatever it is, winning, it's the same conversation we have if a team as a whole isn't winning. Who are the people we look at? The head coach and the quarterback. If the defense isn't stopping opposing offenses, who should we look at? The head coach and the defensive coordinator. And because
I look at the owner and the GM first. I look at the owner and the GM first before I look, because they're the decision makers. And I think in any business you look at decision makers before you look at employees. And because the employees are rolling out with what they're rolling with. So I mean, look, I know what you're saying, and in theory, you may be correct. But the reality is, if you fire him mid-season, it sets a bad precedence, and it's a bad look for the organization. Period. I mean, look at the Raiders. Take the Raiders. Their defense has been dog shit the entire year. Well, they played kind of good the last few weeks, and they've won back-to-back games, albeit against the Broncos and the Seahawks. But they still, and their defense coordinator came highly recommended. Like, he was a guy that everybody was excited about because of what he did in Miami, what he did in New York. Sometimes when you're implementing some new things like Barry is, it takes a while for some things, and maybe he did too much in offseason and he didn't have it simplified. Because look, Quay Walker at times looks lost. And it's not hard to play clever too. It's not hard to drop to your zone. You've been doing this since you were probably a teenager, early teens, because you're not playing zone when you're playing junior All-American or Pop Warner at an early age group. You're just manned up. So there's certain things that make you go, So that's why I think it's more of a you wait till the end of the year, see, you never know what they could use a springboard and going into next year. Jordan Love may excite them. Defense plays better, and all of a sudden defense starts giving up less points. And it may be a personnel thing. Maybe it may be something in the locker room, a divide. I don't know, but I don't think you fired a coach right now. I mean, that doesn't do any good. And then the next thing is your head coach gets fired, and he ain't getting fired because he just signed an extension.
Right. Here's my last thing I have on this defense. I watched the Joe Barry defense in LA, and I watched even what Raheem Morris did with the exact same defense.
And he's on the hot
Joe
seat.
Barry left.
Raheem's on the hot seat.
Oh, for sure. But I watched the implementation of that defense, because that defensive scheme that Joe Barry hypothetically is trying to run is what helped the Rams win the Super Bowl. But there are a lot of things that Joe Barry and Raheem Morris did in LA that Barry's just not doing here. First and foremost, that's letting his star player play the star. That is the slot position that is the roamer. That's what Jair Alexander should do, because it allows freedom. The star position in the Joe Barry defense is supposed to be the defense can function without the star in a specific place at any given time, so that it allows Jair to match up on star wide receivers. It allows him to blitz. It allows him to play the run. Because he's your most talented defender, take him out of a position, let him roam, and let him do the damage that he is born to do.
But let me push back on that right now. Who's your outside corner? Because Keyshawn is better playing inside in the slot already.
And I'm not talking about right now, because I know Eric Stokes is hurt, and I know that throws a wrench in the defense. I'm talking about the first 8 weeks of the season, where we had our healthy outside corners, and Jair Alexander was still not playing the most important position in this defense the way that the defense is designed to play it. That's what I'm talking about. And that would be perfectly fine. I would be fine with Nixon there, like Jacob's saying, except Joe Barry just isn't doing that.
That's all Keyshawn's been playing. He's been playing the slot.
No, he's playing Joe, there's a difference between the slot and the star position. Joe Barry's not even doing the star position. He's not even trying. He's given up with the defense so much that he's not even trying to implement some of those concepts. Because if you compare the defense he is playing right now to the defense that was played in LA in 2019 to 2021, it is not the same defense whatsoever. And I know that personnel is different, but that is the defensive scheme that won championships and won a lot of games in LA. And that's why he was brought over, and he's just not doing it.
Do you think that maybe it's because that requires them to play a lot of zone coverage and these guys are better man coverage corners?
Well, then why aren't they playing man coverage?
He's trying to keep it close because he's not getting the pass rush that he normally has. So you're trying to keep everything in front of you.
Which I'm perfectly fine if personnel dictates a different type of defense. But what you said isn't happening. Jair and Rasul are better man corners than zone, but they're not playing man. Jair is supposed to be matched up against the best receiver on any team. And it seems to be a coin flip whether or not they do that. There's no rhyme or reason from the outside looking in. Again, I always acknowledge I'm not a defensive mastermind, but given the fact that I've seen what Joe Barry can do with a defense, and now looking at the way the Packers defense is playing, something does not add up.
So, okay, and I don't use injuries as excuses for anything.
Right.
But sometimes they're reasons. Jair's shoulder issue last year was worse than what was being reported.
Correct.
It was really, he shouldn't have been playing in the playoff game, if we're going to be all the way real about it.
Yeah.
There is a little get back. Like, am I back? in my back. Like, so there is some tentativeness. Rasul played out of his mind. It was a contract year. So maybe, and I know Rasul well. Maybe it was that, hey, man, I'm locked in all year for whatever reason. That being uncomfortable. Now he's comfortable. So maybe it is that they have to go back to being uncomfortable a little bit. Eric Stokes, throughout the year, he didn't take that jump in his second year, but he played out of his mind his rookie year. So I didn't expect him to take another jump. I would have hoped he took another jump, but I did expect a little regression. I look at the jumps between year 2 and year 3 for rookies. And I think that with Stokes, next year is going to be indicative, especially coming off the injury, and of what he can do. But overall, I mean, I'm disappointed in the defense. I mean, you get up 300 yards rushing in an NFL game, and the quarterback had 100 something yards in the first quarter. That's ridiculous, and that's embarrassing. Yeah. And I would take that personal.
I agree. Last thing before we get going, because unfortunately I have to go back to work tonight.
Hold on. Well, Bruce is here, the resident Bears fan.
Yeah, we gotta get Bruce in here for the prediction, because I need his. Oh, he's gotta
change headphones, Papa Bear,
or whatever he's doing here.
Put it away. Stop watching porn on the computer, Bruce.
Come on, bro. Packers Bears. Somehow the Packers are favored in this game. I don't even know how. We don't know which quarterbacks are going to be playing. I think the Packers win just by default, because I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play. He doesn't lose against his own team. So,
Brady Bunch style. Bruce, what you got?
That's so dumb. Sorry for last second jump on, gentlemen. My apologies.
No worries.
But that being said, there is a report out there that both Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields are to play in this game. As a Bears fan, I would love to see Justin Fields finally take back the Chicago Bears team and put it back in Chicago instead of up in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers.
You think one win's going to do that after 20 years of dominance?
Well, that's okay. It'll be 20 years of dominance down here after this, because there's no way in hell Love is another Hall of Fame quarterback. But that's a conversation for a different day. That being said, I got the Packers winning this game, and I think it's going to be closer than 4.
You guys see the colors that I'm wearing right now, right? Like, you see these colors. They're kind of similar to some.
The Vikings?
No, they're not, because this is black and red. It's not ugly blue and orange. Who has blue and orange as colors? That's as ugly as purple and gold in Minnesota.
I go that far.
Look, if I picked against the Packers in any game when they're playing against the Bears, I swear to God, I should be flogged by midgets in Thailand. Okay, so no, that's not happening. 27-17 Green Bay. I don't watch any, and no, they're not Ohio State colors, and I don't like Ohio State, Jacob. I fight on. Hey, I'm going to say this before we go. Caleb Williams, Heisman Trophy winner, and he is the only quarterback, seriously, the only quarterback that can, in college football, that can make some of the throws that you see Mahomes, Rodgers, and Herbert make. He is that good. Wow. He is that guy. And he'll probably be back-to-back Heismans. I'll say it here. I get to see him in person Friday too. I'm going to the USC Utah game here at Allegiant Stadium, the Pac-12 championship game. So it's going to be a wild time.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Well, gentlemen, I got to go back into the background. Appreciate seeing you guys. Have fun, and I'll be finishing all this jazz.
Wonderful. Oh my gosh. From the top deck, Todd. Love to see it. Joe, at the end of the day, we've been blessed with incredible success as Green Bay Packers fans for the last 20 years. No matter what fans may say, I will still take 2 Super Bowls in the last 25 years. over no Super Bowls, over no playoff appearances, Detroit Lions. And it's still fun to watch football. I was talking with a coworker today who was like, how can you watch that Philly game? When they're so bad? Like, I just can't. Like, I just enjoy football. I like watching.
Did
I
you
like
watch
listening.
the Jets Bears game? Now that brought football back 50 years.
Yes.
Of course, the Bears were in it.
Right. Naturally.
Bottom 5 roster in the NFL, and they still might beat the Packers this week.
Who hasn't this year? Like, I mean, let's be real. The Lions
It's
have.
not impressive anymore.
Ooh, you beat the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is high out there on mushrooms and whatever else he's on. And, you know,
he didn't take enough.
Look at his eyes. You could see, like, I swear to God, he's high in games. He looks like he's fucking strung out on something. Bruce is over there dying laughing. Look at his eyes. His eyes are as red as this soda can, like every game. Yeah, no, not even there. He's face down, ass up right there. He is literally, though, like, eyes is, man, I'm telling you, I think he's out there loaded. And there's also, real quick, I know we're up against it. There's a podcast out, I think, called The Brennan Show, and Deshaun Kaiser is on it. And Deshaun Kaiser tells stories about Aaron Rodgers' conspiracy theories, walking into quarter in meetings about, hey, you think 9/11's real? There's reptile people. What do you think about the people land on the moon? Like, literally, these are stuff that in meetings they're talking about. It's commonplace that they have conversations, but this has been going on for quite some time. It's very entertaining. It's about an hour and a half long. Check it out.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, Immaculate Perceptions at Game On Wisconsin. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitter at Game On Wisconsin, and follow other shows. Subscribe, tune in. We'll be back next week. Joe, Bruce, I love y'all.
Shout out Jacob and everybody at Game On. Love y'all.
Love y'all. Bye-bye.